What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 19th, 2025. I'm your host, Joe Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the podcast. Going to be a gorgeous Saturday out there, getting up to 80 degrees. Get out there and enjoy it. Let's get into some quick housekeeping before we get started. First and foremost, yesterday, you might remember I said if the YouTube channel goes black, I'll explain why. It did not, but I took a chance on something. It probably will not be doing it a lot in the future. But for Fridays with AI, I put a loop of Randall Cunningham clips on there. And of course, it got tagged for a copyright. Luckily, the person that owned the clips is cool with people using it on YouTube videos. But I took a chance and they got me, which is why I don't put the clips on YouTube. Usually I put them on my social media where it's a little bit more lax on there, which I don't know. I don't understand it. I get it if you own the clips or whatever. But to me, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of like the news. I'm reporting the news, just news that happened in the past. But I don't know. I digress. So the YouTube channel is fine. Did get that tag as soon as I posted the video. But if you haven't checked it out, check out yesterday's Fridays with AI. We created an alternate reality where Randall does not tear his ACL in the first game of the season in 1991 and goes on to become possibly the GOAT of NFL quarterbacks. So go check it out. And then follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, on Instagram at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word. As I mentioned, there are highlights, pictures, photos, whatever I can find from this day in Philly sports history, all my social media, including Facebook and LinkedIn. So go check it out over there. And as I mentioned, check out the Fridays with AI, experimenting with it, trying to tweak it and get it just right. Always a good time when we spend Fridays with AI. And then don't forget, starting Monday, we will start our draft spotlight. We'll highlight the best picks from each round of the NFL draft in Eagles history as we gear up for the first round of the draft on Thursday. Now, that does lead to the question of the day. And I want to see people's opinions on this one. So lots of talk and rumors that I heard, which I don't think there's any merit to them. But that if Abdul Carter falls to 4, there might be some interest in the Eagles in trading A.J. Brown to the Patriots. And I don't think it's going to happen because it's complicated. I think there's a huge dead cap hit for the Eagles if they do trade A.J. Brown. I don't necessarily want them to, but it's an interesting question. If you could guarantee that you're getting Abdul Carter, would you trade A.J. Brown? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest? Personally, I would not. I don't think, one, he's going to be available, but I feel like it's gonna hurt your team. Now, if cap-wise, if you can do it, maybe, but I don't know. You got a wide open window to win another Super Bowl with A.J. Brown. I don't think I would do it, but let me know your thoughts on it on the Back to the Future voice and text line or any of my social media. Now, let's recap yesterday. I asked you, who's the most clutch home run hitter in Phillies history? Pretty split on this one, but 33% said Bryce Harper, 33% said Mike Schmidt. Hard to argue with either of them. And that leads us into yesterday's Phillies game. I think everybody just, maybe we need to breathe, relax, take a step back, and let sort of baseball happen, as they like to say. Phillies looked much better yesterday. And yes, it was the Florida Marlins, but Zach Wheeler was back to being sharp, had 13 strikeouts. Everyone offensively contributed in some way. Rojas is getting hits and knocking in runs. Alec Boehm is knocking in runs. It is the Marlins, though. However, this is what they should be doing to teams like the Marlins. And this is where we've seen them get in trouble in the past before. So we were down there yesterday. It was a great atmosphere. Friday night at the ballpark is great, especially when the Phillies are up 5-0 like that. Good time, but maybe we just need to let baseball be baseball and let things sort of play out for a couple more weeks and not jump to conclusions like that. But Bryce, in honor of being voted the most clutch home run hitter in Phillies history, crushed one yesterday. Ryan Howard-esque home run yesterday for him. Schwarber added another one. They're back at it today. Taijuan Walker on the mound. So we'll see if they're really back with Taijuan. But I think we just kind of let it play out. Breathe. Yes, again, I know it's the Marlins, but this is maybe just what the doctor ordered to get the Phillies right as they move forward. Because I think they have a big series against the Mets coming up very, very soon, possibly even next week. I haven't looked ahead at the schedule, but I remember there was an early April matchup. So that should be must-see TV. Get right against the Marlins. Take what the schedule gives you. But again, everybody contributed. You got to love it. Had a great time with the kids down there. It's cool to see them really into it and just soaking it all in. So Phillies, Marlins today. Taijuan Walker on the mound. All right, other than that, that was pretty much the story in Philly sports as the NBA and NHL playoffs are kicking off without the Flyers and without the Sixers. Instead, we are stuck with wondering, what do we do about the NBA and the NHL draft? So we will be doing our Tankathon every day until the NBA and NHL lotteries. So I ran some simulations this morning, just getting them caught up here. And let's start with the Flyers. And Flyers kept the number 5 pick for the second straight day. Again, we'll take that. They have the 2 picks in the 20s, so it should be very active. But I will gladly take that, and it's much easier for the Flyers to sort of stand pat in the NHL than what it is for the Sixers. Sixers, on the other hand, though, second day in a row that they dropped down to number 7. And that would just be the absolute worst. After suffering through this dreadful season, to not come out of it with a first-round draft pick would be brutal. But we'll have another Tankathon run tomorrow as we go. And then the Union are in action down, I believe they're at Suburu Park against Atlanta. Can they bounce back? Again, this dude has a plan. Not sure what the plan is, but Union and Atlanta United tonight. I believe it's Suburu Park, but we'll have the recap of that tomorrow. Be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things going on with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com for details on what they have to offer and how you can get involved. Steven and the crew are doing a great job over there. You can check out their podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat. I've been talking about it all week. It's a Saturday. If you're sitting out back, going to have an early Easter celebration with someone or your family, go tell them about Philly Goat. I'm telling you, the Jordan Spector collection now on Philly Goat is huge. And if you've never seen Jordan Spector's work, go to Philly Goat and check it out. He's phenomenal. Makes a great piece for your office, your man cave. If you have a sports themed room, they make great gifts, whatever. But go check out the Jordan Spector collection and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, so there are no Sixers and Flyers playoffs this year. But there was a point in time when, yes, even the Flyers made the playoffs. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, it was a rare playoff doubleheader at the Wells Fargo Center, then known as the Core States. And it's probably not the playoff doubleheader you think, because the Sixers were terrible in 1997. But first game of the doubleheader, the Phantoms opened up their Calder Cup playoff run with a 4-2 win over the Baltimore Bandits. They would go on to win that series 3-0. You might remember the Phantoms did play in Philadelphia from 1996 to 2009. They made a quick stop in Adirondack before settling up in the Lehigh Valley in 2014. They still are the Flyers minor league affiliate, but they kicked off the first leg of the playoff doubleheader with a 4-2 win over the Baltimore Bandits. And then later that night, it was the Flyers taking a 2-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins in their first round playoff series. Joe Otto, John LeClaire, and Trent Klatt all scored for the Flyers that day. And as you know, it was Flyers, Penguins, Lemieux, Yager, Lindros, LeClaire, star-studded game down at the Wells Fargo Center. And that is the Stanley Cup year where the Flyers rolled through the Eastern Conference playoffs before getting swept by the Detroit Red Wings. But on this day, 2 for 2 in a playoff doubleheader, the Philadelphia Phantoms did beat the Baltimore Bandits 4-2 in the first game, and then the Flyers beat the Penguins 3-2 in the nightcap in a rare playoff doubleheader at the Wells Fargo Center. All right, and finally today, we'll continue our Missing Ring Spotlight. We're wrapping that up this weekend. And today, some people might feel some type of way about this, but we'll see. Today's spotlight is on Jim Thome, and he was only here for parts of 4 seasons, so really wasn't here very long, but did create a lasting bond and a lasting relationship with the fans. He was, of course, the first big-name free agent that the Phillies had brought in a long time, in part to help open and sell tickets for Citizens Bank Park. He came in the last year at the Vet, played the first couple years at Citizens Bank Park. Did hit his 400th career home run here in Philly. Had just over 100 home runs in his 4 years here in Philly. And that last one doesn't really count because he was only here for a little bit and then got traded. I do think he helped get Charlie Manuel here because of their relationship. And I wasn't able to see one way or the other if it was directly related, but I'm sure somehow, some way that Jim Thome and Charlie Manuel's relationship did play a role in him coming to Philly, and we all know how that worked out with Charlie managing the Phillies to the World Series. But Jim Thome does deserve a ring here in Philly because he kind of did the grunt work, helped open up Citizens Bank Park, helped get butts in the seats, helped make us care about Philly baseball again. Because if you remember, it was sort of like we had Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley was coming up, but it was just there was so many years from Terry Francona and then the Larry Bowa teams just not getting over the hump that Jim Thome certainly helped the transition into the golden era, because it wasn't long after he left that the Phillies did go on that run where they won 5 straight NL East titles. So Jim Thome is today's Missing Ring Spotlight. Would have loved to have seen him get one in here just because, and I think he knew it. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was getting paid, but he was sort of like the main attraction when Citizens Bank Park opened up. And I think for that, more so than anything, he deserves a ring. So Jim Thome, our Missing Ring Spotlight. We will finish up the Missing Ring Spotlight tomorrow with one of everybody's favorite players. Probably, you talk about it, other than Brian Dawkins, the guy we're going to spotlight tomorrow is probably the guy that everybody in Philadelphia wishes had a ring. So stay tuned for that tomorrow on a special Easter edition of the podcast. On this day in 1997, the Phantoms and the Flyers played a doubleheader playoff style at the Wells Fargo Center. First, it was the Phantoms winning 4-2 over Baltimore, and then the Flyers beating the Penguins 3-2 to take a 2-0 lead in their best of 7. I think it was 7 back then still. Best of 7 series. They would go on to win that series and make it all the way to the Stanley Cup before getting swept by the Red Wings. But let me know your thoughts on the hypothetical talk about A.J. Brown and the Patriots and Abdul Carter and all that other stuff. Personally, like I said, I don't think I would do it. But if you tell me that you can make it like a 1-for-1 trade and you don't have to worry about the salary cap implications, you have my attention. But let me know your thoughts on that here on a Saturday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 19th, 2025. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Saturday and enjoy this weather. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.